This year is Mr. John Lamb, who's on the stage with me right now. And we're honored. We're deeply honored, John, and thrilled to have you here with us tonight. And thank you for coming. John is someone that I know that I personally aspire. I aspire to have my life in some ways parallel yours in terms of being a committed, dedicated musician and also a dedicated educator. I know those are the two big parts of your life, and I just hope that in my days I'll be able to reach and touch just a small percentage of the people that I'm sure you have with your gifts. And it's a very special and beautiful thing that you do and that you've done, sharing your gifts and committing yourself to education and stuff. And I have some gifts here for you, and I have this is like a $70 acetylene cable with a lifetime warranty, and an acetylene t-shirt, and a set of Black Diamond Doghouse upright strings worth about $200. And EMG Pickups t-shirt. So that's the least we could do. I wish it could be more, but that's what I have for you tonight. Those are just some gifts because you rule, man. Now, I think that a lot of the guys and ladies and everyone that's here would like to hear a little bit, and if it's all right, I'll ask you a couple questions. If you wouldn't mind sharing with us a little bit, tell us a little bit about your journey, like how you came to be a musician and some of the things that you experienced along the way, and how you came to be with Duke Ellington, and just to share a little with us about that type of stuff. All right, John Lamb, ladies and gentlemen.
First of all, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank Andy for those wonderful presentations. That's really great stuff. Wonderful. I accept. Hey, that's worth more than the gig, by the way. Do we have any bass players in the house? If so, let me see your hands, please. Ooh, that's good. That's good stuff. I heard some great stuff today out of you. I bet you figured I didn't dig your music, right? But I do. I started back in the backwoods of Florida, playing in the rhythm and blues joints, playing the top 40 music before 1940.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
I mean, before, those were only joints that were available at the time, out in the woods, across the railroad track. You know where I mean. Okay. Now, I mean, it would take a couple hours for me to stand up here and talk to you, but starting the bass years ago, I started on tuba in a high school band. I went to the Air Force at age 16, no, 17, wasn't it? They wouldn't let me in at 16. I tried to get in at 16, they said, you have to wait 6 months, son. That meant that I graduated at 16 from high school. How many people have graduated at 16 around here? 1? 2? Okay, after that 6-month period, I went in as a tuba player. See, we didn't have all the computers and all the different choices that we have today. The only thing I had was my chops. Yeah. So I went in. I didn't pass the audition. But the guy says, oh, you have a beautiful sound. He says, I'll give you 6 months to work on it. So I worked on my sound for 6 months, and I got first chair out of 3 tuba players later on. How about that?
Nice.
How much time do we have?
Do your thing, man.
I'm excited about seeing you all because I have been exposed to a lot of great musicians all over the world. I have seen almost every great bass player in the world, including Stanley Clarke. You didn't know that, did you? Jocko, Stanley was studying Jocko's works when we were in school together later on. We used to work together and practice in the practice room back there. Stanley Clarke and myself.
Cool.
This was before he started the electric bass. Then, cutting the story a little bit short there, later on, I saw him with an old overcoat there in New York there, collecting his first check. He left school after the third year of college. There in Philadelphia, Philadelphia Musical Academy was called. So we got some Philadelphia people here. But anyway, that's where Stanley and I got a little bit of education, except Stanley left and I stayed on and got my degree because I figured I couldn't be on the road forever. I had already lost about 15 pounds. So there's a story behind that. Don't give up your day job. So anyway, after doing that bit, the military bit and the college bit and all that and all the gigging and all the other stuff, I decided to get married, and then I got married and had some kids, and I said, well, these kids have to eat. So I said, I better go in and get something that'll bring me some bread. So I decided to get my teaching certificate. So I got a teaching certificate and a performance, what do you call it? Certificate. I got both of those things, but I continued to work 2 or 3 gigs a week, playing in the clubs nights with some of the great musicians around Philly, including some of you probably don't know of any saxophone players around here. No saxophone players. Oh, tenor. You probably heard of Jimmy Heath. Okay. Well, Jimmy and I used to work together every weekend. Piano players, you've probably heard of Kenny Barron, right? Yeah. Kenny was a teenager when I worked with him. He was playing his ass off then. Another guy, he was a guitar player, Pat Martino. Hell yeah! Man, I took Pat to New York for his first gig there to play with Lloyd Price. Did you know that? No, you didn't know it. Well, anyway, they're all kids back there, and I had the opportunity to work with some of these people while I was studying at PMA, the Philadelphia Musical Academy. And I found out that I learned more in the streets than I did in college. I learned how to play in the streets. How many people agree with that? Now, what I did in college, I learned how to read. I learned how to read anything. You know, I could read, a fly spitting on cotton. But it doesn't do me any good, I mean, if I'm out here playing gigs. I learned how to do shows. I've done shows, all that stuff. I've done some of the great singers, Mel Torme, Ella Fitzgerald, to name a few, Peggy Lee, and a few others. Worked with Sonny Stitt and Gene Ammons. These are the old guys. This is back in the early 50s. So anyway, making another story short, this time around Philadelphia was very fruitful, and the people there made sure that you played your instruments. We're talking about good musicians. My God, a lot of good ones. Tremendous musicians. I mean, some of the best musicians I've ever found couldn't read a note. The guy that recommended me to Duke Ellington's band didn't read one note. That's why he recommended me. But he was a hell of a bass player. His name was Peck Furness.
Cool.
Peck Furness, get that bass, man. He had one of his old baby basses made in New Jersey. I don't know if you've seen those old basses. But he had that bass going, man. Woo! Have mercy. The lady says to Peck, says, do you know any bass players around Philly? And she said, well, little Johnny Lamb over there, he could probably do the thing with Duke. So my name kept coming up all the time. And so eventually I went down up to New York and I auditioned with Duke's band. And the rest is history. Since then, I've been on 3 Grammys with Duke. Not myself, you know, not me. But he had to have a bass player, you know. Okay, now, my message to you. My message to you. You are very important people, and I mean that sincerely. I don't care if it's just a gig or whatever it is. You have talent, otherwise you wouldn't be here. Talent comes in various degrees. And if you work hard enough, you'll get out of your instrument what you'd like to hear eventually. By the way, I'm 77, I'm still working, and I still don't get where I am. But I tell you something, if you work at that bass, it's not just playing an instrument, you know. It's building a character. Character builders.
That's right.
You notice how attentive you are? Nobody's talking but me. Listen, that's character. That's beautiful. And you know, I really appreciate you as bass players and as individuals. And I know that when you go on your gig, your next gig, it won't just be for, oh, just the money. Most gigs don't pay that much anyway. It'll be because you are working on self, improving self. And that's what I'd like to see you do. Did I say anything? Am I finished? They want to hear some music, man. Okay, thank you very much.
John Land shared some very, very powerful and amazing words with us and experiences. We're going to give him a second to get up here and get the group ready, and we're going to hear some magic stuff come off his bass.